Chosen one, you are not here by accident. This moment was arranged long before your breath ever filled your lungs. And the timing of these words is exact. Heaven does not interrupt itself without cause. Today, the unseen realm turned its full attention toward something you did. It appeared small. It appeared quiet. It appeared unnoticed on earth. Yet it carried eternal weight in the presence of God. Chosen one, there are moments when the Almighty shifts the atmosphere, not through thunder or spectacle, but through recognition. What felt ordinary to you was received as obedience. What felt heavy to carry was received as faith. You stand at the edge of a season where the hidden is being acknowledged, where the labor done in silence is being honored, where the Lord who sees in secret is now responding in the open. Anointed one, this is not a random hour. This is a Kairos moment, an appointed time when divine alignment meets human endurance. The prophet Zephaniah recorded a word that belongs to you today. The Lord your God is in your midst. He is mighty to save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exult over you with loud singing. That is not tolerance. That is not patience. That is delight. Chosen one, what you are sensing right now is not imagination. It is confirmation. You may not feel strong. You may feel tired, unseen, or stretched thin. Yet this is precisely how divine encounters often arrive. Not when confidence is loud, but when faith is quiet and still standing. The Spirit has drawn you here because something is shifting. And what is unfolding now will reframe how you see yourself, your obedience, and the weight of what you have carried. Chosen one, heaven is not merely pleased with you. Heaven has responded to you. What you did released a movement in the unseen. And that response did not come from obligation. It came from delight. There are moments when God corrects, moments when he instructs, moments when he is silent. But there are also moments when he rejoices. This is one of them. The joy you are sensing is not imagination. It is confirmation that something you carried quietly has reached the courts of heaven. Anointed one, there is a reason this feels personal. You are not listening to a general message. You are hearing a word that has been waiting for the exact condition of your heart. Scripture speaks of the Lord taking delight in his people, not tolerating them, not merely sustaining them, but rejoicing over them. That language is intimate. It is the language of approval that does not depend on performance. And that is why this moment matters. Because many of you have lived as if love had to be earned, as if acceptance had to be proven first. Chosen one, I know what it is like to show up exhausted and still keep going. I know what it is like to do the right thing when no one is watching and no one is clapping. There were seasons in my own life when obedience felt unrewarded and silence felt louder than any answer. I did not feel powerful. I felt tired. But looking back now, I see that heaven was recording every moment I had dismissed as ordinary. And that is what is happening for you right now. Anointed one, heaven measures differently than earth. Earth applauds visibility. Heaven honors faithfulness. Earth rewards speed. Heaven responds to endurance. What you thought was survival was actually alignment. What you thought was barely making it was actually positioning. The Spirit of God is not hovering over you to accuse you. He is hovering to activate what has already been approved. Chosen one, this is where the shift begins. Not because you suddenly did something impressive, but because you refused to abandon who you are when it would have been easier to quit. That choice carries weight. In my own journey, the greatest breakthroughs did not come after my loudest prayers. They came after my quiet persistence. There were days I did not feel spiritual. I just kept showing up, and heaven responded to that posture. Anointed one, when heaven rejoices, something moves. When God delights, provision follows. When approval is released, promotion is no longer blocked by inner doubt. This is not just about encouragement. This is about alignment clearing the way for increase, financial doors, spiritual authority, emotional restoration. These things are not random. They follow clarity. Chosen one. There is a question that has lived quietly inside you for a long time. It has shaped how you approach God more than you realize. It is not always spoken out loud, but it surfaces in your prayers, in your hesitation, in the way you brace yourself when something good appears, as if waiting for it to be taken away. The question is simple, yet heavy. Does God truly approve of me? Or am I merely being tolerated until I do better? Anointed one, that question did not come from truth. It came from history. It came from moments when love was conditional, when approval was withheld until performance improved, when affection had to be earned rather than freely received. Over time, that pattern slipped quietly into your spiritual life, and without realizing it, you began relating to God through effort instead of trust. Chosen one, I carried this question myself. Even when blessings came, I wondered if they were temporary. Even when prayers were answered, I questioned whether I had somehow deserved them by my own doing. That internal tension made faith feel like work, and work eventually leads to exhaustion. Anointed one, hear this carefully. The problem was never the question. The problem was the source of the question. You were not born wondering if you were lovable. Infants do not analyze their worth before they receive. They simply receive. Somewhere along the way, a lie was planted that told you love had to be earned, that belonging had to be justified. That lie grew roots, and those roots have quietly touched every area of your life, including how you pray, how you receive, and how you see yourself standing before God, chosen one. This is where heaven intervenes. The Apostle Paul wrote plainly in Romans, chapter 8, verse 1. There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Not reduced condemnation, not delayed condemnation. No condemnation. That verdict has already been spoken. The gavel has already fallen. And yet many of you still live as if you are on trial, as if one wrong thought, one moment of weakness, one season of struggle could undo everything God has declared over you. Anointed one, the reason this feeling persisted is because the verdict of heaven never fully reached the courtroom of your mind. Lies block the signal. The enemy does not always accuse loudly. Sometimes he plants questions that feel reasonable, questions that wear the clothes of self-awareness and caution. Are you sure God forgave that? Are you sure you are still loved after what you thought? Are you sure you qualify, given everything you know about yourself? Chosen one, these lies feel true because they echo past wounds. But truth is not measured by how familiar it sounds. Truth is measured by alignment with God's nature, and His nature is not transactional. You were never meant to climb toward approval. Approval came down to meet you, anointed one. When you stop performing for love, your spirit rests. When your spirit rests, clarity returns. When clarity returns, you can finally receive without suspicion. God does not look at you and see a project. He sees a child. He does not wait for you to improve before He delights. He delights because you are His. That truth dismantles striving at the root. And when striving falls, capacity expands. Chosen one, you are not late. You are not behind. You are not barely holding on. You are standing in a moment where a false foundation is being removed so that a stronger one can take its place. The lie has been exposed, and once exposed, it loses power. If this is landing somewhere deep inside you, pause for a moment and let it settle. You can even say it in the comments. The lie is broken. Let that be your declaration of agreement with what heaven is speaking over you. Chosen one. Now we go deeper. When God looks at you, He does not start with your mistakes. He starts with your intention. He sees why you tried, even when the outcome was imperfect. He sees the love behind your effort, even when it came out clumsy. He sees the prayers you whispered that never found their way into words. 1 Samuel, chapter 16, verse 7. Holds a truth that changes everything. The Lord does not see as man sees. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Anointed one. This means your most important moments were never the visible ones, the invisible choices, the quiet surrenders, the private decisions to keep believing when everything around you spoke otherwise. Heaven saw those. Heaven recorded those. There were seasons when I judged myself harshly for not being further along. I replayed conversations I wished I had handled differently. Decisions that seemed to have cost me years. Missed opportunities that I was certain had closed doors permanently. I assumed God saw me the same way I saw myself. But looking back with clearer eyes, I understand now what I could not see then. What I called delay was development. What I called failure was instruction. What I called weakness was capacity being built quietly in a place I could not yet see. Chosen one. You see fragments. God sees continuity. You see brushstrokes. God sees the painting. When you stand too close to a canvas, all you notice are uneven lines and colors that do not yet make sense together. But distance reveals intention. God has that distance. He sees how the hard seasons shaped your discernment. He sees how the lonely seasons refined your dependence. He sees how the setbacks protected you from doors you were not yet prepared to walk through. Anointed one. This is why heaven is not disappointed with you. Heaven is attentive. Heaven is aware of the full context. You did not arrive here by accident, and you did not survive what you survived by chance. Chosen one. Chose not tallying your missteps. Before promotion comes clarity. Before transfer comes identity. That is why this moment feels personal and internal. Heaven always secures the foundation before releasing weight. Anointed one. Many people pray for breakthrough while still secretly questioning whether they are accepted. That inner conflict blocks reception. The lie says, receive after you improve. Heaven says, receive because you belong. Those are not the same invitation. Your spirit knows the difference. And right now, your spirit is being freed to receive from the second place, not the first. Chosen one. Now we arrive at what heaven specifically celebrated. Because what happened was not a general moment of grace. It was the result of a specific choice you made under pressure. There is a war that has been happening inside you that most people will never see. And it is this unseen battle that gave weight to what you did. The applause did not come because life was easy. It came because you stayed aligned while it was hard. Anointed one, let me speak to the part of you that learned how to function while bleeding. You learned how to smile while carrying questions you could not answer. You learned how to show up for others while feeling unseen yourself. There were days you operated on faith alone, not because you felt strong, but because quitting felt like surrendering something sacred. Heaven saw that discipline long before you did. Chosen one. There was a temptation recently. It came quietly, wrapped in the disguise of relief, or escape, or self-protection. It did not announce itself as danger. It came in the form of something familiar, something from an old version of you. And for a moment, the weight of life made it look almost reasonable. Anointed One, what mattered was not the intensity of the temptation, it was the strength of your no. It did not have to be loud. It did not have to feel confident. It simply had to be sincere. And the moment you resisted, something shifted in the unseen. James wrote in chapter 4, verse 7, "Resist the enemy, and he will flee from you." Not walk, flee. That is exactly what happened. The pull that once ensnared you lost its grip. The cycle that once repeated itself cracked. You broke something in silence that would have carried consequences in the natural. Anointed One, I want you to understand the full weight of this. You thought you were resisting for your own well-being, but heaven saw something far larger. A generational line being redirected. A pattern that had a name in your family being interrupted by your choice. What you refuse today will not have the same authority tomorrow. I have lived this myself. There were battles I won alone, in the quiet, with no one present, with no one to acknowledge what it cost me. But those victories became the reason certain struggles never returned with the same power. Silent obedience creates loud freedom. Chosen One, this is why heaven celebrated. Because you did not just choose the right thing, you chose the new thing. You acted from identity, not from fear. You acted from growth, not from habit. And heaven knows exactly what that cost you. The victory did not end there. You have also carried pain, pressure, and questions that could have hardened you. Instead, they softened you. The tears you cried recently were not evidence of failure. They were a release. They were prayer without language. They were a holy offering that heaven collected and did not dismiss. When you wept, God did not turn away. He leaned closer. Anointed One, tears are not weakness. They are proof that your heart has remained alive in a world that teaches numbness as survival. I remember a season where I tried to hold everything together so tightly that I forgot what relief felt like. The day I finally allowed myself to cry before God was the day He reminded me that vulnerability is not the opposite of faith. It is often the doorway into strength. Chosen One, this is the full picture of why heaven rejoiced. You resisted what could have destroyed you. You released what could have drowned you. You rose when heaviness tried to anchor you. Every one of these things, taken together, signaled to the courts of heaven that you are ready for what comes next. Not just for blessing, for responsibility, not just for breakthrough, for stewardship. Anointed One, I need to tell you something that most messages in this space will not say. Before the fullness of what heaven has promised begins to arrive, there will be one more passage, not to disqualify you, not to exhaust you further, but to confirm you. Heaven does not release weight to those who cannot yet hold it steadily. And the testing that comes before elevation is not punishment. It is preparation. Chosen One, this final passage will not look like what you expect. It will not announce itself clearly. It will arrive disguised as an inconvenience. A delay when you expected acceleration. A door closing when you expected opening. A relationship that suddenly requires more grace than you feel you have available. And in that moment, the enemy will whisper that this is proof it was never going to work, that the word you received was not real, that you misheard. Do not believe that whisper. Anointed One, the pressure before the breakthrough is not a sign that something went wrong. It is the final confirmation that something is about to go very right. Just as gold does not become refined without passing through fire. Just as a seed does not become harvest without first being buried in darkness. What God is completing in you requires one final passage through pressure. I have stood at this exact threshold, and I wish someone had told me clearly what I am telling you now. Do not sprint at the end. Do not panic when resistance increases in the very moment you expected breakthrough. Do not interpret a final delay as denial. Hold steady. One more step. One more act of quiet obedience when everything in you wants to retreat. That posture is the final key. Chosen one. This is the part of your journey that heaven has been orchestrating behind the scenes. The part where internal victories begin shaping external pathways. Everything you have walked through, every silent battle, every whispered prayer, every morning you rose, despite the heaviness, has been pointing to this. This is where identity meets assignment. This is where approval becomes access. This is where what was formed in silence becomes undeniable in your life. Anointed one, there is a confidence rising in you that does not come from your personality, your accomplishments, or your circumstances. It comes from heaven's affirmation. When you know you are wanted, you stop living like you are tolerated. When you know you are chosen, you stop living like you are replaceable. When you know you are delighted in, you stop living like you are disappointing. Chosen one, breakthrough is not a moment. It is a mantle. It is a level of spiritual maturity where heaven can trust you with what once would have crushed you. This is why God did not release certain blessings earlier, not because you were unworthy, but because He was protecting you from weight your foundation could not yet carry. Blessing without maturity becomes a burden, but when maturity catches up, blessing becomes destiny. You are reaching the maturity heaven needed you to reach. That is why things are beginning to accelerate. Anointed one, doors are not opened simply because we want them. They open when we are ready for what is on the other side. Heaven expands territory only when your inner world can sustain the outer assignment. And right now, heaven is recognizing readiness in you. This readiness is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is steady. It is deep. It is the quiet certainty that comes after endurance has done its full work. Chosen one, this is the season where hidden seeds begin breaking the soil, where prayers you forgot you prayed begin circling back as answers, where ideas begin receiving clarity, where strength begins returning to areas that once felt completely dry, where divine opportunities appear without you having to force them. This is not coincidence. This is culmination. You did not stumble into this moment. You were shaped into it. Anointed one. This is also the season where supernatural provision becomes real. Not just money, though finances are included. Provision in strength, when you are tired but the work requires more. Provision in insight, when the path is unclear but a single moment of clarity changes everything. Provision in timing, when what was supposed to take months resolves in days. Provision in divine connections, people arriving whose assignment is to carry something forward with you that you cannot build alone. Heaven does not release increase randomly. It releases increase with responsibility attached, and you are ready for that responsibility now. Chosen one, I want to speak plainly about discernment, because this elevated season will require it more than any previous one. Not every opportunity is a door. Not every connection is a covenant. Not every open space is an invitation from heaven. There is a simple test that has guided me consistently through seasons of increase. When something is truly from God, peace leads the way. Not the absence of challenge, not the absence of cost, but a settled, deep knowing in your spirit that this is right. When something is not from God, there will be a subtle restlessness. a discomfort that does not resolve, even when the logic sounds completely reasonable. Anointed One, learn to trust that signal above all other signals. What once drained you will no longer appeal to you. What once distracted you will no longer have access. You are being tuned to a frequency that makes the counterfeit easier to recognize. Chosen One, elevation will also require boundaries that you have never had to hold before. You cannot carry everyone with you into the next chapter. You cannot explain every decision to those who are not part of the formation process. You cannot convince those who refuse to see your transformation. When heaven elevates, it also separates. Not to isolate you, but to protect both you and the assignment. You cannot build your next chapter with people who only understand your last one. Anointed One, you may feel a quiet pull away from certain environments, certain conversations, certain relationships that once felt essential. Do not resist that pull. It is not rejection, it is redirection. God is not taking from you. He is making room for what is arriving. Every release creates capacity. Every boundary creates clarity. Every necessary separation creates the focus your next level requires. Chosen One, in this season ahead, expect sudden shifts. Expect divine alignments that feel almost too specific to be coincidence. Expect acceleration in areas that were stagnant for so long that you had nearly stopped believing they could move. Expect doors that open without your effort. Expect other doors to close without your explanation. Expect favor in places where you were previously overlooked. Expect strength to arise in exactly the areas where you once felt the most weak. These are not accidents. These are confirmations that heaven has already moved ahead of you. Anointed One, before you step forward, let your spirit fully absorb this final truth. You are not entering this season as someone trying to earn God's approval. You are entering as someone who is already carrying it. That changes everything. You walk differently when you know you are welcomed. You pray differently when you know you are heard. You move differently when you know you are sent, not striving to arrive, but already positioned. Chosen One, your next step may not be loud, but it will be decisive. It may not look dramatic to those watching, but it will carry weight in the unseen. It may not be fully understood by others, but it will be fully backed by heaven. This is your moment. This is your alignment. This is your appointed time. Anointed One, as you reach this final word, let your spirit rest here for a moment. Heaven has already moved on your behalf. You touched something eternal, and the Father's delight over you has set a movement into motion that cannot be reversed. What you carried in silence is becoming strength. What you survived is becoming testimony. What you released in faith is becoming breakthrough. Chosen One, remain steady. Remain aligned. Remain expectant. Heaven is not finished with you. You are stepping into days marked by clarity, by provision, and by divine companionship that will make you wonder how you ever walked the earlier seasons without it. Go with confidence, for the one who called you is faithful, and what he has started in you will not be cut short. Anointed One, if this word has reached the place in you that needed it today, speak it in the comments. Even one word is enough. Let your agreement with what heaven is saying become an act of faith. And if you know someone who is fighting battles no one can see, who is weary but still holding on, share this with them. Let it find them in their quiet moment. Chosen One, may the Lord bless you, keep you, and lead you into every promise prepared for your life.